A jury awarded Johnny Depp $15 million or £12 million in damages in his defamation case against Amber Heard. However, the jury gave Ms. Heard $2 million or £1.6 million for one aspect of her own counterclaim that Mr. Depp's counsel had labeled her ex-husband's abuse allegations a fake. After over 13 hours of deliberation over 3 days at the district court in Fairfax, Virginia, 7 jurors, 5 men and 2 women, returned their judgment on Wednesday, June 1st. However, the judgment was delayed somewhat when the court had to send the jury back out because they had neglected to complete the damages section of the form. Welcome to Drama Hub. Let's learn more about the high-profile case. Mr. Depp was not in court for the verdict, but he was seen in a pub in Newcastle watching it on TV from the United Kingdom where he is working. Ms. Heard was there when the verdict was read. As each verdict was read out, Mr. Depp's fans erupted in applause outside the courthouse. The star thanked the panel for giving me my life back in a statement, "I am deeply humbled." Ms. Heard expressed her heartbreak following the verdict in a statement, "I can't express how disappointed I am today. I'm heartbroken that the amount of evidence was insufficient to overcome my ex-husband's enormous power, influence, and sway," she added. "I'm much more dissatisfied with the implications of this decision for other women. It's a stumbling block. It turns the clock back to a time when a woman who spoke up and spoke out could be publicly humiliated and shamed. It undermines the notion that women's violence should be taken seriously." She went on to say that the consequence was an attack on free expression. "I'm sorry I didn't win this case. But what makes me even sadder is that I appear to have lost a privilege that I thought I had as an American: the liberty to speak freely and honestly." Mr. Depp sued his ex-wife Ms. Heard for $50 million, alleging that she defamed him in a Washington Post op-ed in which she depicted herself as a victim of domestic abuse. The actor from Pirates of the Caribbean isn't identified in the story, but he claims it implies he's a domestic abuser. Mr. Depp claimed that he faced the wrath of our culture because of the piece titled "I Spoke Out Against Sexual Violence." That has to stop since it has harmed his reputation and made it difficult for him to secure roles in Hollywood. Mr. Depp's $5 million punitive damages will be capped at $350,000 under Virginia law. Ms. Heard countersued her ex-husband for $1 million, alleging that he waged a smear campaign against her. The complaint is based on comments made to the Mail online by one of Mr. Depp's attorneys, Adam Waldman. Mr. Waldman, who was not defending Mr. Depp in this case, accused Ms. Heard of lying about her domestic violence charges, calling them false, a sexual assault scam, and an ambush. He also made audio recordings available to the press. Mr. Waldman's words, according to Ms. Heard, cost her job possibilities. The court heard both Mr. Depp and Ms. Heard accuse one another of abuse and provide radically different stories of especially violent instances during their relationship at the 6-week trial that began on April 11th. Both celebrities took the stand and testified for several days, giving emotional testimonies. Psychiatrists, police officers, Hollywood agents, friends, and relatives were among the dozens of witnesses who testified in the case, including prominent faces such as supermodel Kate Moss and actor Ellen Barkin. Mr. Depp claimed he never physically or sexually mistreated Ms. Heard. He said Ms. Heard physically abused him. Mr. Depp testified for 3 days in April, saying Ms. Heard was the perfect partner early in their relationship. During their conflicts, he claimed Ms. Heard berated him and used demeaning name-calling, and Mr. Depp said Ms. Heard was violent during their arguments. Johnny Depp lost a fingertip in 2015 in Australia. Ms. Heard slashed his finger with a bottle, he testified. He was resting his fingertips on the bar when the vodka bottle shattered everywhere, he said. "I felt something dripping down my palm," he said. "I stared at my bones. Blood gushed." The court heard a recording of Depp and Heard arguing about another fight. "You punched me in the effing thing," shouted Depp. "You worked it out," replied Ms. Heard. "I didn't punch you. I regret not slapping you properly. I was hitting, not punching. Nobody punched you." Mr. Depp testified that while he's battled drug and alcohol addictions, his ex-wife's charges are grossly overblown. His drug and alcohol addiction made Ms. Heard an easy target, he told the court. Ms. Heard testified for 4 days against Mr. Depp's assault. Ms. Heard said Mr. Depp lavished her with gifts at first, but he gradually grew possessive and controlling of her career and friends. Mr. Depp threw something, smashed some stuff, and called her a whore, she testified in court. Ms. Heard says Mr. Depp slapped her after she laughed at his winnow tattoo. It's ridiculous and unimportant. Never forgettable, it changed my life. Mr. Depp slapped her and asked, "You think it's funny? Funny B?" Ms. Heard told Mr. Depp a different story about the 2015 incident in Australia. Her then-husband allegedly sexually assaulted her with a glass wine bottle. "Next thing I remember, I was backwards on the bar, chest up. I watched the blue glow. Because my back was against the counter, I thought he was punching me. My pubic bone hurt. She feared he'd punch her. His arm moved and it seemed like he was hitting me. I felt pressure." Ms. Heard stated that she was afraid the glass inside of her had been damaged. After hearing closing comments in which both sides claimed to be the victim and not the abuser, accused the other of lying, and repeated that they just wanted to get on with their lives, jurors eventually began deliberations on May 27. During their stormy relationship, Mr. Depp's attorneys told jurors that Ms. Heard was the abuser and he was the abused. This courtroom has an abuser, but it is not Mr. Depp.
They have selected some of her sexual violence hoax facts as a sword, inflicting them on the public and Mr. Depp. Do you see that?
Yes, I do.
Is that one of the statements that you allege are defamatory? It's defamatory?
That's correct.
Ms. Heard, you're not aware of any career opportunities that you lost as a result of Mr. Waldman's statements, are you?
Attorney Camille Vasquez said, "There is a domestic violence victim in this courtroom, but it is not Ms. Heard. Mr. Depp was subjected to consistent verbal, physical, and emotional abuse by Ms. Heard, according to Ms. Vasquez. And she continued the assault after the relationship ended by falsely accusing him of domestic abuse. A man's good name is on the line in this case. More importantly, a man's life is on the line in this trial," she stated. The life he lost when he was falsely accused of a horrific crime, and the life he could live if he is ultimately found innocent. She claimed Ms. Heard had lied throughout the proceedings, claiming she had gone too far and now can't back down. She said she's lied to too many people too many times. Attorney Benjamin Rottenborn, speaking on behalf of Ms. Heard, accused Mr. Depp of waging a campaign of worldwide humiliation against her, sending a message to survivors of domestic abuse around the world that they will not be believed. Think about the message that Mr. Depp and his counsel are sending to Amber and by extension to every victim of domestic abuse anywhere. He stated in an attempt to persuade you that Mr. Depp has discharged his weight of proof in establishing that he was never abusive to Amber on even one occasion. It wouldn't have happened if you hadn't taken the picture. If you did capture photos, they aren't real. That's the message Mr. Depp wants you to deliver. He accused Mr. Depp's team of victim blaming and told jurors that Mr. Depp's case had crumbled because he had failed to prove that he had never assaulted his ex-wife even just once. The 7-person jury was entrusted with reaching a judgment on both Mr. Depp's claims and Ms. Heard's counterclaim after getting the case on May 27. To begin, the jury had to decide whether Ms. Heard defamed Mr. Depp in the opinion piece. Mr. Depp has the burden of proof to show that Ms. Heard's op-ed is about him, that it is defamatory and false, and that the statements were made with malice. The jury also had to decide whether Mr. Waldman, who was acting as agent for Mr. Depp at the time, defamed Ms. Heard in his media statements. Ms. Heard had the burden of proof to show that Mr. Waldman's remarks about her were false and that the statements were made with actual malice. Outside of the courtroom, there has been a large online fixation with the case, with weird conspiracy theories alleging Ms. Heard snorted cocaine on the stand, mania surrounding Mr. Depp's attorney Camille Vasquez, and the viral videos of courtroom events. The Independent quoted Evan Neerman, CEO of Red Banyan Crisis PR and author of the book Crisis Averted, as saying social media has weaponized this trial. More people are forming opinions about guilt or innocence based on online curated content than on courtroom facts. Mr. Depp's popularity has been greatly inflated among social media users. By Wednesday, the hashtag Johnny Depp is innocent had been used 4.9 billion times on TikTok, while hashtag Justice for Johnny Depp had been used 15.7 billion times. Similar hashtags in favor of Ms. Heard received a fraction of the attention, with Justice for Amber Heard receiving 52.1 million impressions compared to only 4.1 million for hashtag Amber Heard is innocent. Meanwhile, the hashtag Amber Turd has been used 3 billion times. Mr. Depp's fans have been lining the streets outside the courtroom in support of the Pirates actor, hoping to catch a sight of him entering the courthouse and acquire one of the few public gallery seats available each morning. Yvonne de Boer, who spoke to The Independent while waiting in line for a gallery seat on May 26, said she had taken a year off work to travel to Virginia from her home in Los Angeles for the duration of the trial and had camped out every night to gain a seat inside the courtroom. Thanks for watching this video. Please make sure to hit like and then subscribe to this channel for more information.